Hi, and welcome to Filmmakers Compass Podcast, a show where we talk about movies and, well, more movies. I'm D-Man, joined by CP. And CP,
D-Man.
I, in honor of May the 4th, am wearing a Star Wars shirt today. And you, in honor of nothing, are wearing a blank t-shirt.
This is a shirt that, yeah, for those who are about to die, you know.
I don't know. I love when you suit up and you have so many shirts. I don't even know where you get them all, but today it's just a blue t-shirt.
Why do you always call me out on this podcast? I mean, we
Well,
don't even put up the
'cause-
video anymore, and you're still calling me out in front of everybody.
I know this is an audio podcast, so it's like I have to give people a vision for how we prepare. Like, even though it's an audio podcast, we still try to wear shirts every week.
Well, I mean, to be fair, D-Man, I wear shirts every day.
Well, I try.
And pants
but
and, everything.
yeah, I wear clothes. So thanks for that. But yeah, maybe next week we'll get a new shirt. So pretty cool. But speaking of May the 4th, I did want to wish all of our listeners May the 4th be with you.
Happy belated Star Wars Day?
Yes, happy belated Star Wars Day. Did you do anything for Star Wars Day?
No, I was traveling, so I just thought
didn't-
about how awesome Star Wars is.
Didn't want to watch like Empire Strikes Back or anything?
Well, I knew that you were going to be watching the original trilogy.
I did. I watched Empire Strikes Back and it was awesome.
See? I know
I-
D-Man very well.
Still one of my favorite movies of all time. I mean, Yoda as a puppet is just pure movie magic. It's amazing. I honestly believe, like, if you think about the entire structure of Empire Strikes Back, the Force as a whole, and like the reveal of Darth Vader being Luke's father, and you pin it all sort of against Yoda's teachings, if that puppet doesn't work, the whole Star Wars franchise probably fails right there.
True.
And instead, we got one of the most iconic characters of all time in film. Well done, puppeteers.
I think my favorite part about The Empire Strikes Back is, dude, when Luke fights Vader in Bespin,
Yeah, it's
the
incredible.
Cloud City, and like when Vader comes out of the shadows, dude, he is like so intimidating. He just
I know.
like forces that thing through the window. Awesome.
I think there's that part too where Luke, like, he flies out the window and he lands on that like platform thing, and then they cut back after, seeing, I think, Slave One take off with Han, and they cut back and it's just Luke, and you hear like the wind and all this, and the music kind of fades out, and he's like walking into that hallway, and then all it is you hear Darth Vader's voice and his lightsaber ignite, and he's
Yeah.
literally like looming so large
So
in the frame.
awesome.
Still terrifies me to this day.
Great villain.
I know. And then Darth Vader's stopping lasers with his hands and freezing people in carbonite and killing his own officers. I mean, that has to be one of the best villain performances of all time.
Yeah, no, totally.
I love when he says, after he kills one of his officers, and he says, "Don't fail me again, Admiral." It's like the worst promotion ever.
Yeah.
You're like, no, if we fail again, I'm going to die. You're like, that's crazy. But speaking of Star Wars, I also just had to throw out a little wag of the finger. I tried to get tickets for Star Wars Celebration in April 2027 for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars A New Hope here in LA, CP. And I waited in the queue all day and didn't get tickets for any of the days.
Sorry, man.
It's pretty horrible. I was reading comments about other people that were also in the queue and waiting all day. And apparently, you're not going to believe this, they were allowing people to buy 20 tickets to one individual.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, so everybody was really
Comic-Con
pissed.
gives you a maximum of 3. I think 4 would be reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. I think 4 would be the max. And then everybody, if you want to get in the line and everybody's going to buy them for them different, you're going to go in a group, maybe you're going with 10 people, but it's like everybody has to get in line and then you got to get your tickets. But the fact that they literally had people buying, they literally just bought blocks of 20 and they ran out. So
Yeah, they're just like, I got 20 tickets, I'll sell them for $10,000 each or whatever.
Well, for what it's worth, like a single day pass was like $91 and a 4 day pass yesterday when I was waiting for the in the queue line, I think it was like almost $300 for a 4 day pass. So you got a little bit of a deal, I think, on the 4 day pass. But I already heard that they're reselling the 4 day pass for like 3 grand.
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah, so I'm like, dang, I don't have money like that.
I just can't believe, like, come on, Disney. I thought you would have been better than that.
I'm just gonna show up in a Jedi costume and hope they let me in.
I think you should.
I'll try it.
I'm gonna dye my hair and I'm gonna put on like 50 pounds and I'm just gonna go as George Lucas and see if they let me in.
Imagine you're like, I'm here for my interview.
They're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Mr. Lucas, just wear like that plaid
Yeah, tuck it
that
in
he
to your
always
jeans,
wears." Yeah,
get the glasses, and then you gotta shave your beard so that it's right at your chin line.
right at my chin line, gray
Yeah.
it up. Yeah, dude.
The perfect George Lucas. Maybe I'll do that for Halloween. I just have to spray gray in my hair. That'd be pretty cool. While we're on the topic of, I guess, May the 4th and holidays, also happy Cinco de Mayo, 2 holidays in a row.
Happy Cinco de Mayo.
I
What'd you do?
was watching the Lakers, so
Oh,
I
I was
didn't
shocked. I
I
figured
didn't
you.
really do any celebrating. I don't know. Did you have any tequila or tacos or anything?
I went out and got some tacos. I was a little bummed, dude, because I went to like I tried to order food from like four places and they're all like, "Oh, we're way too busy. We're not doing like online orders." So I had to
I
go down
figured.
there.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. I guess as long as you got what you needed.
Yeah. Well, tacos are
Well,
always worth it.
I guess first up in our shout outs this week, CP, is Sean, who said, dude, Odyssey is starting to look legit as fuck.
It's
And
funny. I heard a bunch of people. I was at a film mixer last night and they're like, ugh. Apparently, like some people are saying that like the insiders in the industry are saying that they think it's going to be really bad.
interesting. I mean, I'm not betting against Nolan here.
I
He's one of
wouldn't
my
bet against
favorite.
Nolan.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite directors. I did hear some people complaining on social media that a lot of the beach sequences and some of the exterior shots, they kind of had the vibe of looking like a truck commercial. Like it came off kind of odd.
Hmm.
It didn't feel like, I guess, exotic. It felt
Hmm.
kind of like maybe Eternals when they're on the beach, and it's
Mm.
like, maybe it's a little flat.
Yeah.
So I don't think they'll redo anything because Nolan shoots everything and they shot it on IMAX. So it's not like he's gonna like redo the scene or like
Yeah.
regrade it. It's not how he operates.
Look, I also think, I mean, Nolan really doesn't tend to go wrong with the movies, so I think we just trust him.
Yeah, I've also heard really good things about the trailer. I watched it. I'm into it. I love Christopher Nolan. And next up on our shout outs is Mikey, who said, Becky and I have opening weekend tickets at Man's Chinese Theater on 70 millimeters. So, damn, you're early, Mikey. I think he said he's had those tickets almost a year out, but that's incredible. And that seems like that'll be a great movie going experience. So, pretty dope. Um, Boone got a shout out for you. He said he's rewatching season 1 of The Mandalorian in preparation for the Mandalorian and Grogu movie coming out later this month.
Should I go
And
see that movie, D-Man?
here's the thing. Did you watch The Mandalorian?
I watched season one.
Yeah, then I think you should go see it. So I'm rewatching season 1 myself, really probably the whole show if I can get to it before the movie comes out.
Are you going to rewatch Andor in preparation for the movie?
No,
I'm
I'm rewatching The
surprised.
Mandalorian. I mean, I'll rewatch Andor again. Don't get me wrong. Love Andor.
Yeah, I know. It's like your favorite.
I know it literally is probably one of my favorite shows, but uh I don't know. I'm excited for Mandalorian and Grogu. I hope it's fun. I hope it, captures that energy of season 1 of the show, which I thought worked fairly well. I know they were doing a lot of homages and stuff to like old westerns. I really love the western vibe. Thought it was great.
Okay.
So if they can kind of recapture that, I'd be pretty excited. So next up on our shoutouts is Ivor, who said, you guys are making me rethink, reanalyze this phase of the Marvel movies. I don't know if I asked this before, but I always wondered, do you think there is one TVA looking over the whole multiverse, or each multiverse has its own TVA looking after that universe's timeline? Now, what are your thoughts, CP? Because I don't know if they ever stated it, but my impression of it was that there's one TVA that's looking over all of the multiverse. That's how I took it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I always thought there was one. That was kind of the impression I got in the Wolverine and Deadpool movie.
Yeah, right? Like that's kind of how he like Deadpool's moving between multiverses, but then like he goes to the TVA.
Mm.
So, and then obviously like it is weird because it's not the like MVA, the multiverse variance authority, it's the time variance authority. So it is strange because like even though there's branched realities and stuff off sort of like the master timeline, it is kind of weird how they explain the TVA because they sort of imply that even though those branches happen, they go and close them all. Like the TVA is supposed to be pruning them.
Hmm.
And so, in a weird way, it almost doesn't even feel like a multiverse. So, I'm not even 100% sure how the TVA works.
Yeah, I think that's part of the problem. It was never really clear what the limitations are. Like again, like you compare it to something like Dragon Ball Z, right? And the different levels of the afterlives and the different Kais who kind of rule them. Like it's very structured, and so you kind of know like who has the authority, what the limitations of their authority are within their kind of dimension, right?
Yeah. But it's weird because within that same TVA, like Loki storyline, they also introduce the what's his name, the man who remains or whatever,
Hmm.
Kang, and then that's like part of the whole multiverse thing. So
Hmm.
like it makes me think that it is the multiverse, like the 100% is, and that's where they were going with it. So
Yeah.
kind of interesting. But Ivor continues, RDJ is Tony Stark, Chris Hemsworth is Thor. Marvel does a great job of casting, except for the Eternals, which we kind of got to, but I think Ivor's making an even better point here. I don't believe Richard Madden is Icarus and so on. Gilgamesh, Makari were believable to me. The best casting was Harry Styles, um, which interesting take. I think that's cool. Plus, this movie was not a superhero movie, a movie based on comics. Yes. A good science fiction film, yes, just not a superhero movie. Not enough Marvel crossover. These characters are not humans who got powers. I think I have issues that these are humanoid beings given powers, but they are not human. I kind of agree with that entire sentiment. It doesn't sort of work within the context of this Marvel superhero shared world. It just doesn't feel like it's the same. Like, where were they this whole time? Like, it's taking sort of different visual cues, but even like we mentioned, CP, it's using some of the comic and dialogue cues that we're used to in the MCU, but they come across as jarring because everything else is so different.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, and I want to continue on that with a shout out from Eric Drucker, who actually I think also makes a good point, kind of compounding on what Ivor was saying. He says, I really wanted to like the Eternals, but it definitely fell flat for me for everything you guys mentioned. It's also hard to do an ensemble movie for characters that we never met before and have no relationship with. That's a
I think
good point.
I think that's the probably biggest point, right? Because when we
Yeah.
get to the Avengers, we've had a movie exploring each of the Avengers essentially.
Right. We had solo films and then they all come together, but we're familiar with the characters. So we know what their distinct powers are. They all have visual cues, like we said, like Thor has his hammer, Captain America has his shield, Iron Man has his suit. There's a bow and arrow. There's like we know immediately who these people are and what their powers are and how they work. We don't know
Yeah.
how they'll clash. That's the fun of the team up movie. But yeah, I think that's a great point. Said I think Spider-Man crushed it. I very much enjoyed it. It was for sure my favorite of the three. So thank you, Drucker, for that comment. Um, but yeah, I think you guys made some really good points there about both the casting, sort of how the characters mesh with the overall MCU, and then yeah, I think as a team up movie, I think it didn't work because we just didn't know who anyone was. It was almost hard. There's too many characters. I don't know. I didn't we say CP where I'm like I can't even remember all their names.
Yeah, right. That's the problem.
So I was like, yeah, I kind of get it. So good call, guys. I like that. I like those comments. So thank you. And then finally, I have to give a happy birthday shout out to Amanda. And a happy birthday shout out to none other than CP Christian. Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. I'm gonna be turning 80 this year, guys. It's pretty
80.
cool.
Geez, who are you,
The big eight
Aragorn?
zero.
So I hope you have a real special birthday, CP, and you enjoy your day.
Thanks, man.
You are most welcome. Well, that does it for our shout outs this week. Let's go ahead and jump into our box office breakdown.
All right. This week on our box office breakdown. Well, D-Man, your favorite movie is no longer number one on the weekend, but let's get into it. Number five, opening this week, Hokum.
Okay. That's cool. I mean, that's cool. It's in the top five.
I have no idea anything about this movie. It made $8 million last weekend. It is a horror film, and it was released by Neon. So, what do you expect, right?
That's cool. Yeah. I don't know. Make some money.
Number four, previously number three, Project Hail Mary. Do you have any idea how much is made so far, D-Man?
I'm gonna guess 250 million. I heard it was doing really well.
It has made 640 million.
Oh wow, that's a lot. Okay. That's a
Number
huge return for that movie.
No, I know. And it's almost been in the theaters for almost 2 months, which is
Yeah.
also pretty amazing.
Still going strong.
Still going strong. Number three, previously number two, Super
Super
Mario
Mario.
Galaxy movie. Absolutely. Almost to 890 million. It seems like the steam is really slowing down. It's, about
If I
$110 million short of a billion. So I'm still rooting for it to break the $1 billion barrier.
I don't know if it's gonna get there, and I don't know if this sequel has quite the rewatchability as the first one, where I think people went to go see the first one multiple times. I feel like this one, most people went and saw it, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm good."
But yeah, okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, for one, I only saw it one time.
I only saw it one time.
Now, this is a movie you did not see one time.
Ah,
Previously, number one. That is Michael.
the Michael Jackson movie. I have seen it twice, and it was
Almost
even
at
better.
$500 million, D-man.
I don't know if that'll reach a billion too. I know the screenings are doing really well, but the movie's incredibly polarizing. We talked about it a little bit last
Yeah.
week on
And
the
it
show.
seems like it doesn't really seem like it matters what word of mouth is. It seems like this is a movie. If you like Michael Jackson and you like Michael Jackson music, you are going to go see it. But there's a lot of people who do not like the man, they do not like the music, and so it really doesn't matter how good word of mouth is. It doesn't seem like they're going to be there.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it's definitely not an exploration of this complicated man or even this man who, even if none of the allegations are true, still had controversy surrounding him for a majority of his life, whether it was his abusive father, his look and appearances, the actual allegations, all these different things. The movie isn't really too concerned with any of that. It's looking at the myth that is Michael Jackson and sort of reinforcing it for a new generation, and then a celebration of his music. So, like you said, if you like that, you'll have a good time. There's no way you're going to have a bad time.
I agree.
But yeah, if you're expecting a deeper dive, then you're not getting that here.
Also agree.
So, number one, I have an idea of what it is.
Well, what do you think it is?
Devil Wears Prada 2.
Boom. 10 points, D-man. Devil
Yes.
Wears Prada 2. It has made about $250 million.
Wow, that's great.
And yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised. It seems like there's a lot of hype around this, and there's been some good word of mouth so far. So,
Yeah, the only thing I know all the stars returned, and it's actually funny. I heard the Met Gala just happened,
oh,
and
really?
yeah, I guess there's a character in the movie that Justin Theroux plays that's based on Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos funded the Met Gala this year. So The only person he had on his list not to invite is the guy that did a parody of Jeff Bezos in The Devil Wears Prada 2.
That's kind of hilarious.
He was not in on the joke, didn't appreciate it.
Did not appreciate it.
Don't piss off the
That's
billionaires.
kind of like a Kanye move right there.
I don't know. I mean, I guess it's his money. Do whatever you want, Jeff.
That's funny. So there we go. That was this past week on the box office. We got Mortal Kombat 2 opening this weekend, so we'll see how that does.
Well, and I mentioned earlier, Mandalorian and Grogu's coming out. There's so many movies to go see. I'm so excited. I'm gonna be going to the theater all the time. So, all right. Well, thank you, CP. Appreciate the box office breakdown. And now let's go ahead and jump into our movie this week that we're going to be talking about, which we haven't even prefaced
No,
in
we
any
actually
way,
haven't.
shape, or form. Do you want to bring us into why we're talking about this movie?
Well, see, I feel like that was kind of a loaded question. So friends who are listening to this podcast, D-Man wants me to point out the fact that I made a mistake. I think that's what he's getting at.
Yes.
We originally, I originally, when we were building out the schedule, thought, boom, May 5th is the anniversary of the release of one of my very favorite movies of all time, Ridley Scott's Gladiator. But I did the
Nice.
math wrong. I was thinking I was thinking Ridley Scott's Gladiator came out May 5th of 2001. But I was
2000.
stupid. Came out in 2000. So, we are doing this to celebrate the 26th anniversary of Gladiator,
Well,
not
and
the
it is the
25th
anniversary. It is
as
the
I
anniversary
intended.
of like the release date. So you're good.
I mean, yeah, we'll make maybe this podcast will just be about 26th anniversaries of movies from now on.
Well, there's a lot to
Odd
talk about
number
here.
release days, release years.
Yeah. I guess I mean, we'll just celebrate Gladiator every year.
I
Uh,
mean, we could do that too. We could do that.
yeah.
So, in honor of
The 26th anniversary.
and the movie that won, the best picture in the year 2001, we're going to be talking about Gladiator, everyone.
Well, it's actually interesting because I rewatched Gladiator prior to going to see Gladiator 2, that was last year or 2024.
It's 2024.
Yeah. Like, so I did watch Gladiator not too long ago, and it was a great rewatch. I mean, I think
Hmm.
the movie holds up really well. But if you go backwards and you look at how did it do in its time, um, it was certified fresh by the critics at 80% and also certified fresh by the audience score at 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it did really well. And I know the movie was incredibly popular in its time. And it's one of those movies that, to me, we get to judge 26 years later and ask the question, like, does it hold up?
Hmm.
You know, is it a movie that was more popular in the moment it was released, or is it even better after letting it, marinate for 26 years?
Yeah. Interesting question to think about.
Well, and then obviously, like, it performed well at the box office. It made 187 million at the domestic box office and 465 million worldwide, which if you go back to the year 2000 and then adjusted those numbers for inflation, especially post COVID, uh it
No,
did really
it
well.
did really well. And I don't know if you remember, but when we were kids and this came out, I remember incredible word of mouth about it.
Yeah, I know it was really popular. Obviously, there's a couple of quotes throughout the movie. The most popular, of course, like is "Are you not entertained?"
Are you not entertained?
You
Is
know,
that not why
great
you're here?
great quote. And there's a lot of memorable action sequences. But I think like I said, the most important thing is, does the movie hold up? And I actually think it holds up remarkably well.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It looks really good. I mean, I think, it's really easy to criticize it. And I think one of the things in recent years is we've seen some backlash to the fact that it won Academy Award, the Best Picture. But at the same time, I mean, the ambition of the movie is visible. and we see it on the
Yeah.
screen, right? There's it's a large scale epic film with incredible costume design, a great score and memorable characters. And, you know, obviously it inspired a sequel, 24 years later.
Well, I feel like that was more Hollywood, just having fun with sequels in general. We got like Beverly Hills Cop, like 30 years later. They started doing all these legacy. We got Ghostbusters, like 40 years later. I don't know. They start, you know how they do all these legacy sequels,
Yeah,
Top
yeah,
Gun.
yeah, yeah.
You're like, geez, they're just bringing back all these older movies. And this was one of them. But I mean, I think if you were to ask, not only does this movie hold up, but is it better than a sequel made, 24 years later? I think it is. Like, I think the original is the better of the two films, even though you could make the case that special effects and things are much improved today. The movie's just better. I think Russell Crowe as Maximus is magnetic. There's a reason he won Best Actor for this performance, and he definitely carries the movie here. So
Agreed.
it's actually funny because I wanted to get your take on this, but how do you think this movie compares to a movie like Braveheart?
I mean, I
Kind of similar. There's no prima nocta.
I mean, Braveheart's one of my favorite movies. I really like Gladiator. Um, Gladiator's really a weird movie. For one of the most spectacular and epic scenes in it is the battle between the Germanic army and the Roman army at the beginning of the
Yeah,
film.
I was gonna say you're talking about the opening.
And I actually feel like a lot of the times when we're referencing the movie and thinking back, we think about all the later parts where it's actually in the Colosseum, the Gladiator storyline of Gladiator. But that original battle, I mean, where they're actually burning down the forest and stuff is pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. I mean, it's funny though, like I was actually doing a little bit of reading up on the movie because obviously it's a historical epic, but like a period piece. And they put in a lot of effort to be like quote unquote historically accurate, even though the movie takes liberty with a lot of the, you
History
know,
of Rome.
yeah, history of Rome. So like right out of the gate, you mentioned like, oh, they're burning down the forest. Apparently, according to historians, they never actually launched like boat, like arrows that were on fire or like trebuchets or whatever with like things on fire. That was for dramatic effect within the movie.
Yeah.
Now, that does that mean, I mean, do we really know the answer to that question? I don't know. I guess it probably could have happened, but they weren't known for doing that, right?
Hmm.
But to extend out, like into some of the other historical inaccuracies, like there are things that really stand out. So first of all, for everybody that you know doesn't know this part of the story, we're following Marcus Aurelius and his son Commodus, who were both uh Caesars within the Roman Empire,
Hmm.
right? And that actually is historically accurate that they were. But the character of Maximus is a fictional character
Hmm.
made specifically for this movie. So I heard that he is loosely inspired by several historical figures like uh, Marcus Macrinus and even Spartacus, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of similarities to Spartacus. So much so that even Ridley Scott acknowledged the influence of the Spartacus film in making this movie. And you can see, right, if you really do a analysis, right? I mean, Spartacus was a slave who became a gladiator, who started a revolution. There's scenes like the one where he throws the sword into the, you know, the suite of the nobles watching. Like that's right out of Spartacus. Like there's a lot of elements borrowed from this, so you can definitely see how the character was influenced by Spartacus.
Right? But there is no record of a Roman general becoming a gladiator to seek revenge against an emperor. Now, to seek revenge against an emperor is sort of the asterisk
Hmm.
there.
Hmm.
That doesn't mean there are no accounts of any Roman warriors or generals or anything becoming gladiators, but none to literally get revenge on the emperor.
Hmm.
So I guess Marcus Aurelius's death, his actual cause of death was the plague. So in the movie, he's murdered by his son so that his son can claim the throne as emperor.
Hmm.
I like it.
I mean, it's better for the story's sake.
It's a pretty great scene when he kills his own dad.
Oh, yeah.
Like how he just suffocates him. But it's weird because like Marcus Aurelius sort of is like basically plotting to not hand over succession to the next person in line via like blood, which would be his son Commodus, and instead to hand over the throne to Maximus, who's his Roman general, who he believes to be a good man. And they do this through whispers in a tent outside of this Germanic battle. And basically, it's funny because it's like, damn it, you didn't tell anybody else. There was no witness, and there wasn't. So,
Well,
damn you,
it's
writing.
but also like for Marcus Aurelius' sake, he's like, oh, like Commodus is morally corrupt. I don't want him to be the king. So I'm just gonna tell him that in private. I'm like,
Well,
I
he
feel like
says, to be fair, he does say, because he asks, like, Maximus asks, like, how's that going to go over? And he's like, he will accept my decision. I mean, the
I'm like,
movie just writes it right in where he's like, whoops, I made that mistake. Thought my son
yeah,
would
you're
just.
like, I don't know, man. Corrupt sons usually aren't, the people that
Well,
you can depend on to do things the right way.
listen, we're talking about the Roman Empire. So the thing is, like, a lot of what we've learned over time probably comes from all these backstabbings and stuff from the Roman Empire. But
That's
it's like,
funny.
damn, you didn't like make sure to like pass along the word before you let your son know, or like
Or
have
maybe
like
have like a couple other people in there while you're having that conversation.
exactly, or like even like a like stamped envelope with wax that you like give to somebody. You're like, this is my official document or something. Like nothing. He just was like, you know, I'm gonna spitball it here.
Yeah, not a fan.
But I like the scene is what I
No,
meant
no, it's a
though.
great scene.
Yeah, I think the
Especially
scene
like it's
works
so
really well.
creepy how like he approaches his father like as like very kind of remorseful and he's like I feel like I like let you down. I just want you to accept me as a
And I
son.
love you so much.
And then he just like strangles him. Yeah, it's crazy.
You probably know a little bit of this history, but like Commodus actually ruled Rome for 12 years. The movie implies it's a rather short amount of time, maybe a year or two at max, if that's how much time this movie actually covers.
Yeah.
So, it's playing loosely with his actual reign. And one of the things that was interesting is Commodus was assassinated by a wrestler named Narcissus as part of a conspiracy, but not in the Colosseum by Gladiator.
Hmm.
So again, a little loose with the historical accuracy there, but not actually all that far off.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And it's weird because while Commodus was egotistical and cruel, and in this movie, kind of weird, there's a couple implications. Always sunny. There's a couple implications in this movie. Like this guy is, he's jealous, he's egotistical, but even like insecure, right? He's sort of constantly sort of questioning things. It ends up that he was actually pretty politically savvy and popular with a large part of the Roman populace. So, especially in the military,
Hmm.
which is interesting because in this movie, the dichotomy between Commodus and Maximus is like the military sides with Maximus, and they only go with Commodus because, well, he's the emperor. We have
Yeah.
to,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, but if we could pick, we'd go with Maximus. But it ends up, historically, he was pretty popular. So, another thing that was interesting about this movie is, again, the movie presents gladiatorial battles as battles to the death. Now, not to say that gladiators never died, but they rarely fought to the death because they were expensive to train, and many fights ended in surrender.
Yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense and I mean I know that there is kind of that line that Proximo says that where he's like, I mean, you like literally want me to just send these guys to a slaughter? Like that's not like financially viable for me. So they do kind of try and address it, but you
Yeah, he
know.
he like talks about it. And again, not that like all the gladiators do die or it's implied that like every battle ends in death, but like the movie does sort of show a lot of death.
Yeah.
So, but it is interesting because there's other elements like weapons and armor, the wild animals that show up, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. Again, exaggerated here for dramatic effect. They're using different weapons. Some of the guys are chained up together. There's
Hmm.
tigers, there's different things. Again, not to say that there weren't, but it just was not a common occurrence. They
Agreed.
literally often fought with swords to surrender, not with tigers, not with
Noted.
all these
Yeah.
crazy things. So the movie's just having a lot of fun with the concept of gladiators, which I appreciate. Again, if you're going to have fun with like historical accuracy, make it awesome. And in this case, I feel like they succeeded. That's how you do it. Um, Other things, the size of the Colosseum in the film is larger and more advanced than the historical structure, which is ironic because it's still standing. So, uh, they also, for whatever reason, had like a roof or imp like showed that the Colosseum had like, I don't know, different sets, which was weird.
Well, I've always heard that the Colosseum did.
Maybe it
You know,
did. I don't
part
know.
of like what made it such an engineering marvel was it had like all the floors that moved, with the trap doors, and it was made to be watertight so you could fill it with water. Like a total feat of engineering, at the time.
Interesting. Well, it's still there. And I think you can actually speak to this, but by the time Marcus Aurelius and Commodus were the emperors of Rome, the Roman Republic had been gone for over 200 years. I bring that up because literally the crux of the movie is that Marcus Aurelius is going to pass over his son and give ruling power to Maximus so that he can restore the Republic. But apparently, that just was never meant to be.
Yeah, I always thought that was a weird story point too. When that's like Tarantino, like Tarantino would do that in a Tarantino movie where he's rewriting history. But historically, kind of as soon as after Augustus Caesar took over, I don't think anyone really gave much thought to restoring it to a republic.
Interesting. Well, Lucilla, the character that is like Maximus's old flame and Commodus's sister, ends up that in real life she did conspire against her brother and was executed for treason. Although
Really, that's
not
kind of
shown in
funny.
the film, but yes, she was. She was banished for a year and then people came and executed her. I'm like, damn, that is punishment. Um, I don't know. And then it was interesting because of note, there's some other historical inaccuracies and things, but uh, what's interesting about that in a filmmaking context is that apparently the writers and the filmmakers approached the film wanting to be historically accurate. And so they actually hired a bunch of historians and like Roman Empire experts and all this stuff to come consult on the film. And multiple consultants did quit over
Hmm.
the historical inaccuracies. Like they have quotes. I'm not quoting anyone, but they were saying like, hey, we were brought in to try to make sure that we could correct these things, and the filmmakers were like, no, we're doing it anyway. At which point they're like, I don't even know why I'm here then. If we're
Yeah, yeah,
if we're
yeah.
not doing it, then we're just not doing it. Like, right now we mentioned in the shout outs that like the Odyssey's coming out.
Hmm.
How historically accurate will the Odyssey be? I don't know that it really matters as long as it's awesome.
Hmm. Well, and that's kind of what Ridley Scott showed us. Like, we weren't really interested in seeing an accurate movie about ancient Roman gladiators. We just want to see an awesome movie about ancient Roman gladiators, and that's kind of what we got.
Well, I am going to quote Ridley Scott here because he said, I think we're making a film here, not a documentary. And that's how he approached it.
I think that's fair.
So I was like, all right, that's pretty cool. Um, I don't know. There's a couple other things I took notes on CP that were interesting. Like I could not get past in the opening sequence that the music reminded me of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, so I think what you're really getting at, since this was 3 years before Pirates of the Caribbean, that the music in Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl, reminds you of Gladiator.
I guess so, right?
But it is kind of funny because I think the same thing. I think Pirates took that same kind of overturn and made it so much more iconic.
And I don't know why that is. Like, I'm gonna look it up right now. Gladiator music, Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm curious now, um, why they're similar. Like, that's weird. So I'll let you know when I find it. But some of the
Let
other
me know.
things that stood out to me, I mean, they were that were interesting. Richard Harris as Marcus Aurelius. I can't lie, I just kept seeing Dumbledore. I don't know about you. I mean, he just sounded like Dumbledore. Like, I don't know. He was going to give sage advice to Harry or something.
Yeah, I mean, but that's kind of what he does to Maximus, right?
Yeah. So, and then something else I wanted to ask you. So, we've sort of used interchangeably already the idea of a Caesar and like an emperor. I mean, is Caesar just a reference to like the king or like what does that actually?
My understanding is that, right, well, Caesar was part of, Gaius Julius Caesar's name. And I think that when Caesar passed it on, his rule to Octavius as
Yeah.
Augustus, I think that then it became the tradition for the new emperors to adopt Caesar as their title, as kind of to show kind of a lineage, right, all the way back.
Okay. And do you know, does Caesar have anything to do with the Caesar salad or
No, because that was just made by a Mexican guy in Mexico City.
I don't know.
Named Caesar, so maybe.
Okay, here we go. Soundtracks of Gladiator and Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl are linked by composer Hans Zimmer, who echoes the battle scene from Gladiator into Pirates of the Caribbean. Now, I don't know if Hans Zimmer did the full scores, but he worked on both scores.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds right.
So, because it says he contributed to Pirates, but that he didn't get credit for scoring Pirates.
Gotcha.
So that is interesting because I can't not hear it.
Yeah, no, you're right. It's totally wild when you watch it. You're like, yeah, that's straight like out of Gladiator
And
or
then
out of Pirates.
I wanted to ask you, is this like Russell Crowe's prime era?
Oh, I mean, I think it has to be. This is like peak Russell Crowe. When you think about it, what did he do? Insider, A
Great
Beautiful
movie,
Mind, Cinderella Man, Master and Commander.
a Gladiator, and he won Best Actor during
Like,
this.
like there was like a streak there where he was on fire as an actor.
Yeah, I mean it's funny because like you think of this like he's Maximus in Gladiator, and then he goes and does Thor: Love and Thunder, and he's Zeus like dancing around in a tutu. And I know they're probably playing with our perception of him due to the fact that he was Maximus, and that's probably one of his most famous roles. But it is interesting because it feels like Russell Crowe here is in his like Tom Hanks in the 90s era.
Kind of the same thing where, he's getting a lot of,
Because
you
he
know,
had Philadelphia and Forrest Gump and Apollo 13. And I think late 90s was like Castaway,
yeah.
um, Saving Private Ryan. Like Tom Hanks' run there was just nasty. And I might have even left one out. I don't even know. I know he won two Best Actor awards for Philadelphia and Forrest Gump, but I mean, just the iconic movies that Tom Hanks was a part of was incredible.
hmm
Yeah, I feel like Russell Crowe definitely at this point in his career is like prime.
Yeah,
And
no,
I
I
feel like
agree.
a lot of actors go through that. Like Will Smith had that. You sort of, and then it's like, you think of even like Jim Carrey in the 90s. He had like Ace Ventura, The Mask, Liar Liar, like this
hmm
run of just great comedies and even some of the dramas that he was a part of. And then like you cool off.
Yeah.
Can't stay hot forever
Nope.
unless you're Leo. Yeah, DiCaprio maybe. There's a couple actors who like transcend their peaks, but otherwise, like, yeah, most of these guys, it's like, you really do have sort of a peak and then a valley. You just
Yeah,
naturally come down. I
yeah,
think honestly too, like people get tired. Like it's a lot of work doing all the press tours, doing all the stuff. I think by the end, you know, you're probably like, damn, I just want a break.
yeah. I can imagine it's probably pretty exhausting.
It's like a musical artist going on tour. I bet by the end of it, you're just exhausted. You're like, I don't want to make any music. I want to watch Netflix.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, what were your favorite fights from the movie?
Oh boy. I think my favorite fight scene is the one where we discover that, who the Spaniard really is.
Yeah,
The Battle of Carthage with the archers rolling around the arena where we get to
that
see
is pretty dope.
Maxis's military, you know, training really come into effect. I think that's cool.
I actually really like the first fights when they're just sort of out in the desert
The
somewhere.
one where they're chained to the two guys are
Yeah,
chained together.
they're
Yeah.
chained together. I thought that was an interesting way to sort of present a fight. And then I like the one with the tigers, even though it may not be that historically accurate. I found that to be really entertaining.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
So, I mean, I don't want to get crazy here because, like, you look at Gladiator 2 and they have like sharks and rhinos and like all these other animals. Save that maybe for like Star Wars Attack of the Clones. But, they're kind of having a good time with it here. And I think even if that wasn't a common thing to see, I guess it did happen. There were animals involved in gladiatorial fights
Mhm.
occasionally.
Mhm.
So why not work it into the script?
Yeah.
But anyway, um, to that end, do you think the CG in this movie holds up? We're talking about the year 2000
I
here,
I
and these fight
actually
scenes were pretty
I,
good.
I mean, if you can see a lot of it is accomplished through the use of editing,
Yeah,
right? And the sequencing of the shots. Ridley Scott also like loves to kind of intermix slow motion during the fight scenes to, kind of control the pacing of it. Uh when you watch the movie though, I mean, it is refreshing how much of this is done practically compared to Gladiator 2.
hmm
Like I mean, when you think about like the forest burning, they actually went and burned down a section of the forest.
that's cool. I mean, maybe
And
they had to for fire control, but whatever.
and that's cool. And I mean the CGI, the it's a lot of it is kind of limited to some of the expansive shots of ancient Rome. I was reading that they built part of like the sets, like part of the Colosseum, right? And then they use CGI to fill it out and make it look bit bigger. I don't think it looks bad. I think it's done really sparing. I think the worst looking visual scene is actually the fight scene with Tigers of Gaul
Yeah.
with the tigers, and that's just because of the way that it was made at the time, right?
So
The
we're talking
actors,
pre Lord of the Rings here. We're
yeah,
talking,
the actors fought in front of blue screens, and then those blue screens were, they inserted footage of the tigers on the
yeah.
same set so that, the actors weren't actually right up against tigers while they were fighting. And I mean, when you look
I
at it,
figured,
I
yeah.
think it
Like,
looks pretty good. I mean, I wasn't expecting that the tiger trainers were that good that, they were going to be able to capture that correctly, and I thought it worked pretty well.
right? We're only a few years either removed or whatever, close to like The Mummy and The Mummy Returns, which often get cited for,
I mean, this
you
is
know,
the next year.
yeah, like trying to push the boundaries of special effects. And they do, but they don't hold up very well,
No, not at all.
right?
Not at all.
So you think about how they're using it here, I think it works pretty well. There's a lot of movies when you go back in time. I think Terminator 2 still looks great. Jurassic Park. I know we're talking about very minimal number of actual CG shots within those movies, but it's so crazy how like almost when you start to limit it a little bit, how well it holds up. I mean,
Yeah.
even to me, like, dude, I think Star Wars like Phantom Menace looks great. today.
Hmm. Hmm.
For as much CG as it has with like all the Gungans and the battle droids and all this stuff, I'm like, it actually looks pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, you're right.
And then we're only what completing the trilogy, maybe 5 years away from the end of the Lord of the Rings, at which point, we have maybe one of the greatest special effects spectacles of all time.
I think it's 3 years. I think 2000.
One, 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so like we're only a couple of years removed from the advancements in with Gollum and CG armies and all this stuff they were able to continue to push the boundaries on with special effects. It's pretty cool that you know they were able to achieve that level of scale here and stuff before it was sort of done for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude.
Um, Before we sort of move on, I do want to talk a little bit about the ending. So the whole plot is hinging on this idea that Commodus not become emperor and Maximus come and restore the Republic. And the ending suggests this doesn't happen.
Well, see, I actually think that the ending does suggest that it does happen,
Like,
right?
is I don't know, like, because that other guy sort of like takes over the what is it? What do they call him?
The Praetorian Guard.
Praetorian, yeah, whatever it is, yeah,
I mean, the thing is, like, he makes it clear that, like, I think the thing about the ending that I think works is Maximus gets his revenge against Commodus, and he's able to uphold his oath towards Marcus Aurelius, right?
yeah.
He is honored as a hero in his death instead of being this forgotten guy executed in the woods who was accused of being a traitor, right?
Agreed. I
So
love that ending. And I
I
love
think,
the idea that he's also at peace with the idea that he's going to go meet his family.
yeah, 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 and weirdly enough, like if Maximus had survived, I think it would have been a lot less powerful, right? In the sense that, like, I don't think, I mean, in how do I want to say this? Like, in many ways, like, he's the embodiment of a very like true soldier, right?
Yeah.
When Marcus Aurelius is like, "Hey, I want you to be the guy that's going to kind of assume power and shepherd in the next era of, where we rebuild the republic," he's like, "I don't want, like, that's not me. I'm not that guy
What
that
was
you
the
need to
line he
hire."
said? He said like, I say no with all my heart.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and then he's like, that's exactly why it has to be you because you are, not that you're incorruptible, but like you haven't been corrupted by politics,
yeah.
right?
You don't have any interest in it. You're just a soldier, and um, I think that that's kind of true, like in the sense that he's able to fulfill his duties to Marcus Aurelius, which is cool. I mean, again, if he had survived and somehow brought about the new era, the new Republic of Rome, we all would have been like, well, this is like not what happened, you
Well, it
know?
wouldn't have taken 24 years to get a sequel, that's for sure. Like if he did live, I guarantee you we would have got something that's taking a look at, the next chapter of Maximus. And it is, like I said, it is interesting. I like how they sort of don't they bury figurines at the end, sort of as like something nice at the Colosseum for him and his family.
Yeah, but I was also like, dude, you didn't bury those that deep.
I know they'll probably get kicked up by a tiger.
Yeah, I was like, that's like, a inch of dirt. I'm like, maybe like you gotta go down a little further, man. Yeah.
How do you felt the scene with his family's death holds up? I mean, I thought that still was pretty good. He races all the way there, but the Romans beat him and,
Yeah.
kill his wife and his son.
Yeah.
I thought it still holds up pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it worked really well.
I don't know. I remember being like not traumatized by that scene, but like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For everything this guy did for Rome, and just because this guy wants to seize power, like your wife and kid get killed. That's pretty,
I like the visual depiction of Elysium, you know.
yeah.
It's kind of in the monochromatic, like overexposed look.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it works. And I also love that, like, he's sort of broken after that. I mean, he's a man on a quest for revenge, but at the same time, like,
he's
no
lost
direction.
everything to live
Yeah.
for, right?
So, like, the whole getting, you know, like purchased into slavery and becoming a gladiator. I love the story. I think it works really
Hmm.
well.
Hmm.
So, um, one of the things that is interesting though is like we talked about Braveheart earlier, but this movie did inspire sort of other historical epics.
Yeah, I think it seems like when you think about it, it was really sort of influential in a kind of revival of the epic genre. In fact, I'll just run through a couple that kind of came out in the immediate aftermath of this movie. Ridley Scott's Kingdom of Heaven in 2005, The Last Samurai in 2003, 300 in 2006, Alexander in 2004. I mean,
Did you
we
say Troy?
technically not yet. We had all three Lord of the Rings movies. We did have Troy in 2004 as well. We had Robin Hood in 2010. We also had King Arthur in 2010.
Did you say Kingdom of Heaven?
Yeah, I said
Okay.
Kingdom of Heaven. We also had Master and Commander in 2003. So, I mean, right in the immediate aftermath of this kind of this movie, we got a lot of, you
Because
know,
you know what you're leading up to, right? The
what
historical epic dies
like around
With Marvel's
yeah,
rise.
yeah, no, it's a bummer. Like right around 2010, they're like, yeah, we're not making these movies
Well,
anymore.
they're very expensive to make. So first of all, it actually kind of makes sense that like unless you have one that you're like incredibly confident in, a lot of these did bust. They didn't make a ton of money.
Yeah, but the ones that did make a ton of money made a ton of money.
Yeah. And I mean that's true, but like comic book movies, if you think about Marvel's string of success from Iron Man through Endgame, did they even have any misses? Like certainly
Yeah.
more hits. So it's like it makes sense that budgets would shift over to comic book films if you're like, dude, people are going to show up for those movies and they're not showing up for these historical epics
Well,
anymore.
I think the other thing that happened at the same time, which I think is also, and in many ways probably contributed more to the death of the epic, is that all these epic movies have really long runtimes, right?
Yeah.
And I think in the mid 2000s, Hollywood got the idea that people didn't want to sit through long movies and they started really trying to condense runtimes to about 2 hours, which is something that's continued until very recently, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, when you look at it, it's funny because I feel like, if you compare two of those early movies right there, Troy and Kingdom of Heaven, the theatrical versions of both those movies were just okay. But when
Sure.
you go back and watch the extended editions, which are both 45 minutes to an hour longer, they're
Yeah.
significantly better.
Interesting. That is really cool.
And so I think one of the problems is that, right, as you try and condense these movies of such scope and scale down to 2 hours, you end up either sacrificing action, which they're not going to do, or story. And when you get that, you just get sort of disconjointed films.
I kind of agree with that. That makes a lot of sense. So, one final question, and then I think we're going to call it an episode here. But I want to get your opinion. Do you think Gladiator was the best picture that year? Because there has been some debate. Is Gladiator sort of best picture worthy? Like, does it hold up to that level? Because I think it holds up as a movie and as a historical epic, but best picture is quite an honor.
Yeah. And I know it's one of the movies that people point to as, oh, it's kind of an overrated best picture. I don't know that if it belongs to be there. So these were the other five films nominated in for the year 2000, right?
Yeah,
Traffic by Ed Zwick,
that's good. I like Traffic.
Aaron
I hate
Brockovich
Traffic. No, I'm just kidding.
by
Uh,
by Danny DeVito, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon,
I think a lot of people think that should have won.
Chocolat by David Brown, and
And Gladiator.
Gladiator.
I think if I were to pick, I mean, I think Crouching Tiger has a chance for what it was doing for mainstream audiences and sort of the martial arts and all that. That movie's really cool. Is it best picture? I don't know. I think a lot of people were rooting for it because it was so different. And then you do have Traffic, which is a really good movie, but I don't know if it's as epic as Gladiator. kind
I
of like a
mean, when I
pessimistic
think
movie.
about those movies, I think the one that holds up the best is still Gladiator. And I
Interesting.
certainly think that when you look at it, I mean, it was in many ways pushing the limits of cinema again, right?
Yeah,
The CGI, the epic scope of the battles, the costume design, um, it's everything that we want out of a a movie, like a best picture type movie, right? We want it to do those things.
for sure.
And I mean, it might not be the best of all the best picture movies that we've seen, but
Probably
I think
not.
when you
But
compare it to those other four movies, I think it easily runs away.
something that's interesting is, if I recall correctly, Ridley Scott did not win Best Director, which those tend to go hand in hand.
Let me scroll up and see. So it actually is very interesting. He did not. Any guess as to who did win?
Well, I'm guessing it's from one of those five movies, like Traffic.
Yes. Isn't that wild?
That is wild. Like, because I understand that when you get up there to accept Best Picture award, it's the producer holding the golden statue, not the director usually. Although everybody gets to get up on stage for Best Picture because it's the last award of the night. But it is strange because it feels like often Best Director and Best Picture go hand in hand. Like I think
So
about Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan. I was rooting for him to get his Best Director Oscar, but also Best Picture. I wanted it, for
actually,
Nolan.
what's wild is I'm looking at this right now, right?
Hmm.
What was nominated for Best Director? Steven Soderbergh for Traffic won.
Okay.
Uh, Billy Elliot was a film that came out. Didn't even hear about that one. Wasn't nominated for Best Picture, right? Ang Lee was nominated for Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Ridley Scott was nominated for Gladiator, but Steven Soderbergh was also nominated for Aaron Brockovich.
Wow, that's crazy.
I did not
Twice?
realize that he was competing against himself.
You probably don't see that very often.
No, that's wild, dude.
I mean, maybe you could have done it with like Spielberg in '93 or something
Yeah, right. But you're like,
if you
wow,
wanted
that's
to.
that's kind of wild. Like the same guy nominated in two different movies.
I Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you. I think of those movies, I guess Gladiator is the one that probably was not only most deserving in its time, but also holds up the best.
I mean, I think when we look back at Gladiator critically, I can't really fault it for the action. I can't fault it for any of the costume, set design. Those elements are really good. The cinematography is great. The performances, I mean, I think especially coming out of Joaquin Phoenix as Commodus, who is incredibly creepy and
Yeah, he
gross,
really is.
and Maximus, who, is kind of a beloved cinematic hero.
Yeah,
I
like
think
a stoic
yeah,
historical epic
I think
figure.
both those work really well. I think the probably the weak point in the film is the writing itself. You could see that there's elements where there's scenes that didn't quite aren't as tight as they could be. And I know part of that is they sort of went into production with a very minimal script, and
And
there
we
was
we
some
kind of joked
improving,
about it. Yeah, we
you
kind
know.
of joked about it a little bit, like, oh, he just tells his son. And the movie sort of adds that line of dialogue to cover their tracks and be like, he'll accept my
Yeah,
decision.
and I mean they
You're
talk
like,
about
I
how
guess.
both Joaquin Phoenix and Russell Crowe were improving a lot of their lines on the set and refused to
Having
read
fun.
certain ones that were written and rewrote them their own way. The other thing though that we have to remember too, and we don't know how much this played into the bigger picture of things, was Oliver Reed, playing Proximo, did die in the middle of production.
Yeah.
And I know that affected elements of the end of the film. I mean, I think another tribute to the CGI in the film is that the final scene with Proxima where he goes over and he opens the gate with the keys and he speaks to Maximus and then he grabs the sword. That all happened after he was dead. So
Hmm.
that is CGI, Oliver Reed,
I would never know.
before we ever expect it. And it's wild because it looks so good compared to, CGI now where they're trying to, bring back
I
deceased
know.
actors and it doesn't hold up as well.
I think of like in The Sopranos when they do that scene with like Tony's mom. It does not look good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, for everything The Sopranos does really well here, like, wow, that was not awesome.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, no, I mean, that does it for our conversation on Gladiator today. It was fun to rewatch it again. It's never a bad rewatch.
Yeah. Never really went out of style, did
So,
it?
throw it out to the listeners. Curious what your thoughts are. Which did you like better, Gladiator or Gladiator 2? And where do you rank this? I'm interested particularly in Ivor and Drucker's thoughts here, but where would you rank this amongst maybe 2000s historical epics or even historical epics as a whole? Because there's some really great ones, and obviously, like we said, I think a lot coming after the success of Gladiator. So
Yeah.
keep the conversations going. But to all of our listeners, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to follow the show at filmmakerscompass.com, where you can find a feed of all of our past episodes, as well as links to our social media at FilmComp Podcast and at FilmComp Pod on Instagram. You could follow me at Big Kid D-Man and CP.
You can follow me at NDCal5. Thank you for hanging out and talking movies with us. We will see you back here next week. Until then, keep watching epic movies.
Nice.